Hi, I'm Ralph Preston. Every Tuesday, we have these Stroke Buddies, Stroke Survivor Support Group meetings, and we try and bring other stroke survivors useful recovery information and science. And we sometimes share stroke survivor stories, and sometimes we have fun. And today's the day where we're going to actually try to have some fun in addition to learning something. And we're lucky enough today to have Melissa Freeman, who's the stroke coordinator at Duke University Hospital in Durham. I believe Duke is in Durham. I ought to know that. My mother graduated there in 1939. Anyway, so Melissa is going to play her version of Jeopardy with us, Stroke Jeopardy. And since we don't have signaling devices and things, it'll work a little differently than TV, but I am going to let her tell you what it works. And so Melissa, take it away.
All right. Thanks everybody for having me. Like Ralph was explaining, this is informal. If you know the answer, you think you know the answer, shout it out. Don't be shy. Some people might have the same thought as you as to what the answer will be. So hopefully this will be fun and we'll learn something. So I will go ahead and go. All right. There we go.
Look at that.
Oh wait, that's The Price is Right. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, okay. There we go.
Categories are these cool people also had a stroke. Good idea, bad idea. What is the risk? Know your numbers. And potpourri. All right. Ralph, why don't you go ahead and pick the first one?
Melissa, I'd like potpourri for 100, please.
Okay.
I won't play like James Holzhauser and pick all the expensive ones first.
This is the acronym we use to teach stroke signs.
Okay.
Fast.
Be fast.
Be fast.
Whoopsie, I hit the wrong thing. See, now this is what happens when I don't play it in a while. I hit the wrong thing. But yes, you're right. It is be fast. Okay.
Oh,
it's balance, eyesight. So if all of a sudden you lose your vision, double vision, blurry vision, face, arm or appendage, speech, T, terrible headache, or time to call 911, whichever you want. And always, always, always remember when you're teaching other people is that it can be any one of those symptoms. It doesn't have to be all of them at the same time. I've actually had to educate some people on that before because they thought it had to be everything. All right, since like all y'all got that one. So who's gonna pick the second one? Ralph, pick somebody.
Abraham.
These cool people also had strokes for 500.
500. Oh, you going big.
Yeah.
Who in this picture had a stroke?
The guy in the middle.
No, the guy on the right. Winston Churchill.
Yeah, that's right. Winston Churchill.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt had polio.
Right.
And Stalin.
Oh, really?
What he had.
I thought that was.
He had a mean
That's Stalin or Mussolini? Oh, it's Stalin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's Stalin. You can tell.
All of them.
Oh.
They all did. Oh, yeah. So Stalin, Churchill, and Roosevelt, they all actually had strokes. So yes, you were right. Roosevelt had polio, but he did, in fact, I believe he died from the stroke. I was told recently
FDR had stroke.
by a
And so
somebody
Stalin,
a researcher
Stalin
that
was leading FDR and Churchill all had stroke.
FDR's blood pressure, his systolic blood pressure was clocked at like 300 the week leading up to his stroke. I mean, that is like modern blood pressure cuffs don't even go that high.
How do you even maintain with 300 blood
he
pressure?
was
Wow.
well, that's why I don't want to be president, right? That is too much stress.
I think
That's a little more than stress.
He
I
probably didn't
believe.
feel very good, did he? No.
No, I wouldn't think so.
okay. So the clues we've done turn white.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The ones that you've done have turned gray.
Gray. Okay.
All right. Let's see who is on my list. I think let's go with, I don't know, Sophia. You want to pick the next one?
Know your numbers for 100, please.
Okay. This number is the goal LDL after a stroke.
80. 60.
No,
I
it's
mean.
70, 70 or below.
70. Okay.
I thought it was 70 and below.
Okay. 80,
70.
60.
That's right. So that's your bad cholesterol. We want it less than 70. Okay. Who got that one right?
I did.
Okay. Oops,
You
there
gotta
we
go
go.
again.
Supposed to be an appointment.
All right. Was that Winnie that got that right? You want to go ahead and pick?
Know your numbers for 500.
500. This is the time you have to get alteplase from the onset of stroke. So that's that clot-busting medication, your Drano for your Braino. How much
Within 3
time do you
hours.
have?
It was 3 years. I believe it's 4.5 now.
Years?
I mean, hours.
Hours.
Wow.
I was like, don't give me no years. No. Yes.
I thought it was 2 hours.
No.
2 hours.
Oh,
So the real answer is as soon as possible, right? We lose so many brain cells every minute during a stroke. We want to get to the hot. We don't want to wait. We want to get there as fast as possible. But yes, the FDA has approved it for 3 hours, but plenty of research over the years has shown us that it is still effective up to 4.5 hours. They're still working on some other trials to see if we can extend it. But right now it's pretty well accepted. It's 4.5 hours. And that's for the other drug too. There's now 2 drugs that we use to treat it. They're very, very similar. And it's the same for both of them.
Are you doing trials with at longer? Okay, because I know Dr. Adams, and he's the one who got it extended at MUSC, and they've had success with it up to 24 hours.
So that's for thrombectomies. I think what you're thinking of. So that's the thing where they go in the mechanical device and they suck it out. That is up to 24 hours.
Nope.
But I don't know of any trials of it the drug going up to 24 hours. So that if that would be interesting.
I'll put you in touch with Dr. Robert Adams then. Seriously.
All right.
What year
Ralph,
was
did
it
you get
approved for 4.5 hours?
What's that?
What year was it approved for 4.5 hours?
Oh gosh.
5 years
It was
ago.
approved for 3 hours in 96. And I don't know when they started using it up to 4.5 hours, but for over 10 years.
5 years ago would be a guess.
Yeah, it's been over 10 years that we've used it up to 4.5 hours.
Okay.
I had a stroke in 96.
All right. Ralph, I think you got that one. You want to pick the next one?
Okay. Good or bad idea? Is there double check? Is there
No, I don't have any double jeopardies in here.
Okay, because I was going to go for good idea, bad idea for 300. Looking for daily
I'll
double.
remember that the next time I make it. I need to put a double jeopardy in here. But
Well, double's the second round.
Is
Yeah.
there any video clues?
no,
I
yeah,
always
listen,
enjoy the
I
video.
am not an IT person.
Well, I've always enjoyed those on the show.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a
Sorry, it's always-
videographer. I'm a lifelong videographer, and I would love to make you some video clues for your
There
Jeopardy.
you go. Okay, I'll take
Talk
it.
about that.
Mm.
So I'm going to go with good idea, bad idea for 300.
Deborah was reading the paper when she realized parts of her vision were gray. She called her optometrist and made an appointment. Good
Oh.
idea, bad idea.
Bad idea.
Great.
Right.
Good idea.
See, that's where my little glitch comes in. See, I'm not an IT person. It glitched. All right. Somebody said bad idea. Why is it a bad idea? I think that was somebody whose name. Woo. Doggone it. See, I'm gonna go back to here. Why is that a bad idea?
Waiting too
I don't know
long.
your name. I'm sorry. It says stroke.
I don't know, but I'm,
Because you should see a neurologist or go to the ER. You shouldn't wait a week if you have vision issues, because you might be having a TIA or a stroke, and you wouldn't
That's right.
wait that long.
So most people, when all of a sudden when they notice that they can't see correctly, people call the optometrist, which I think it makes sense in a lot of people, for a lot of people. You know, I can't see, it's an eye thing. Most people don't understand. I mean, you guys do, that vision comes from your brain, right? So if all of a sudden you can't see, you could be having a stroke in either one of two places. It could be the part of your brain that controls vision, or it could be in the retina, which neurologists consider the retina part of the brain. And a stroke is defined as in the retina as well. So it could be the artery that directly feeds the retina. So if all of a sudden you can't see, get to the ER, call 911. Don't drive. You don't
That
know if
could
you
also-
can't.
it could also be in the optic nerve or the optic chiasm or the optic tract or the optic radiations.
It could be, but you want to get to that ER, we can figure it out there, right?
Right.
Exactly.
I think the circle of Willis, which is a vascular structure, often is where a stroke is, and that would cause visual problems.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I know what the circle of Willis is. It's really a cool thing. It's a circle in the back of your head for those of you out there.
Oh, it's not in the back of your head. It's around the
Right in the middle.
pituitary
brainstem there.
gland. No,
It's a circle. Both all your carotid and your vestibular arteries.
no,
both feed in.
different
No,
part
only
of the brain.
carotid?
No, it's in the ventral part of the brain, that is the underside of the brain. It's near where the optic nerves join at the optic chiasm.
Okay.
So you can get a lot of visual problems there.
So I'll limit it to what I actually know. So it's a circle, and if one side of your blood flow gets blocked, it allows the blood to go to that blocked side. It's like a built-in protection system through evolution, I suppose.
All right. Well, Bruce, do you want to pick the next
Wait,
one?
Melissa, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What if you go to the ER and then you tell them you're a stroke patient? I mean, what if there's no ophthalmologist there in the ER? What happens then?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Hopefully they will send you to another hospital that has a on-call ophthalmologist that can see you. At Duke, we have 24/7 ophthalmologists, so that we do get them. If we do think it is an eye stroke, we would get ophthalmology confirmation. But based on your other symptoms, if they think that it is a stroke, you would still be seen by a neurologist, especially if you say that you've had a stroke before. I would hope.
Well, they could do a CT scan and see
Right.
what the problem is.
And you saying, Melissa, that you have like neuro ophthalmologists 24/7?
We do. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty rare, because neuro ophthalmologists are kind of hard to find. A lot of people have eye issues, and we always recommend they see a neuro ophthalmologist, but they just aren't all that common. So I'm
Yeah.
impressed. I'm impressed.
We are, one of our neurologists, came to Duke because of our ophthalmology program, because his area of research is specifically eye strokes, central retinal artery occlusions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Bruce, why don't you pick the next one?
Okay, good idea, bad idea for 200.
Loretta saw a commercial about lawsuits relating to the anticoagulation she was on. She weighed the risks and decided she could stop taking it because her stroke was 5 years ago. Good idea? Bad idea?
Bad idea.
Really bad idea.
Bad idea. People do this. People come and I see people in the ER not infrequently who got scared by something that they saw on TV about a side effect or a lawsuit or whatever. Don't do it. Talk to your provider before you stop taking a medicine. You are on it for a reason. Everything has side effects. You have to weigh those benefits and those risks with your provider. It is a dual decision, but don't just stop taking it.
It's a bad idea to listen to the TV or Dr. Google.
You know, I used to work in Louisiana and there was a Dr. Google and it confused the heck out of me, man. People tell me what they saw. It was spelled differently, but it was pronounced Dr. Google. All right, who hasn't gone yet? Who wants to pick one? You all got that one right. So, Fred, you want to pick one?
Sure. These cool people had shows at 200.
Okay. This nightly CNN television host had a stroke in 2019.
Wow.
General Hayden. Apparently not.
I don't know.
Do not know who that is.
No.
Anybody?
Call
Anybody?
Dr. Google.
Doctor.
We need Dr. Google.
Oh, Larry
No
King.
phones allowed.
Okay.
Larry King. Larry King had a stroke in
Unbelievable.
2019. He sure did. He lived through it. It didn't kill him, but he did have one.
Died shortly thereafter.
All right. Let's see. Who hasn't gone? Who hasn't gone? How about Marilyn? You want to pick one, Marilyn?
What is going on for 300?
Okay.
With enthusiasm.
Say 30 minutes of this per day reduces risk of a cardiovascular event.
Exercise.
And most
Exercise.
Americans don't do it.
Exercise.
Exercise.
Yep.
Wow.
Get 30 minutes of your heart moving, of your heart working. It can be, I mean, they count vacuuming as exercise now. I mean, and I get it. Look, it can take a lot if you go over those rugs, but get up, get moving to the extent that you can. Obviously, we all have limitations, but the more you move around, it has all sorts of benefits. So,
Including fighting depression.
exactly. Dopamine. All right, Abraham, you pick next.
Let's go with know your numbers for 300.
Okay. Smoking increases someone's risk of stroke by this much.
Double?
I'd say 3 times,
50%.
but
Oh,
probably 5. 50.
so double, half?
Double. A
I
lot.
don't
It's
know.
more than that. It's a lot.
Somebody said double.
The answer is a lot, right? No smoking. No,
But,
if
yeah,
you smoke,
no.
try to quit. Work with. There's lots of 1-800-QUIT now. There's lots of resources out there, and most people they'll quit when they want to, but it's no bueno.
One
Well,
problem,
neither is a stroke, and that happened first.
one problem with nicotine, which of course is in tobacco, is that it has a half-life of 2 hours, which means that if you are addicted to nicotine, which smokers are, every morning you wake up in withdrawal, which is why that first cigarette of the day is so reinforcing.
Mm. Yeah, it can also, I just learned recently, nicotine can also cause vasospasm. So it can actually cause your vessels, like I thought it just made your vessels like smaller, but it can actually cause it to clamp down. I did not know that. All right. Next.
I think
Let's
Abraham
see.
got that one right.
All right, Abraham, go ahead.
These cool people also had strokes for 300.
Okay. This famous 50s actress had a stroke, causing her car to crash while her daughter was a passenger.
Hedley Lamar. No. I'm sorry. No.
She was more 40.
Rosemary Clooney.
Right, Clooney?
I don't know. I'm just throwing out.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right.
I don't know.
Who else?
No
Somebody
idea.
else. No idea.
I don't have any idea. Somebody might.
Audrey
said-
Hepburn, or no? That's probably wrong.
If I said
Fran-
princess,
Princess Diana, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
I thought that was.
Grace Kelly, she had a hemorrhage that caused her to crash the car. That's what killed her.
I got hung up thinking it happened in the 1950s.
Yeah, I get you. All right. Judy, why don't you take one?
All righty. Let's do good idea, bad idea for 400.
George is having difficulty affording the meds he was prescribed. He asked his nurse practitioner if she could prescribe something cheaper.
Good idea.
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
Incomplete.
Idea.
Yeah,
Bad
good
idea.
Yeah, good idea.
No, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. If you can't afford your medications, the first stop is to talk to your provider to see if there is an alternative that could work for you and your budget. They'll work what they want you to do, and then something that you can't afford. So it's always a good idea to ask instead of just stopping it or, cutting the pill in half. A lot of people do that because they can't afford it. So they make it last longer by taking some of it. But always try to look to see if they can ask. And sometimes there's coupons and things available that the clinics might know about that can help you afford your medications. Always ask first.
Can I add one thing? And that
Mhm.
is doctors have no idea. Most doctors have no idea what prescriptions cost. For example, I'm on some eye drops and they prescribe the ones that are $200 copay.
Mm-hmm.
And the pharmacist actually said, well, we have a generic of that's like $10. And they called the doctor's office. And when I talked to the doctor the next time, he said, had no idea. And I said, well, I hope you're prescribing the generic from now on. So don't think that, your doctor is actually most likely to prescribe the latest and greatest, and those things haven't been paid for yet. The research and development hadn't been paid for yet. So they often have really high copays.
It's also, I will say it is also impossible there's so many different insurance plans, and knowing what each individual insurance plan is going to cover, going to pay for. Like most doctors would probably know what Medicare or Medicaid does, but if everybody's got something different and we can't keep track of, 500 different insurance plans. So always ask, because you're right. We have no clue. we have no clue.
I think that kind of information be written.
You might pay what's that?
I said you'd think that kind of information be right on their chart so the doctor could see it, but I wouldn't know. I didn't go to school or anything like that.
I forgot that part. There's something like 500 insurance companies and plans. So you'll run into this pretty regularly with not only doctors, but sometimes
Yep.
pharmacists
Exactly.
do it all day long, but they still have to look it up. You can't memorize 500 insurance plans on what, 2,000 common drugs? Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's a million combinations.
Marilyn, have a good day.
Yeah, it's like case managers. If you've worked with a case manager in the hospital, I swear that people should just go to college for those degrees because they're usually nurses or social workers, but it's, I mean, knowing the intricacies of each individual insurance plan it's a lot. So anyway.
I have a question. Can
Yes,
all
ma'am.
nurse practitioners write prescriptions?
That is an excellent question.
Yes.
And yes, they can. There's some medications I think that they might not be able to, like narcotics, but and the scope of practice for nurse practitioners is different in every state, but they can all write for prescriptions.
Right.
All right, next. Does anybody not picked one?
Winnie hasn't.
I did.
Oh, you did?
That's okay, Winnie, go ahead, pick another one.
Martha hasn't.
Let's see. Okay. Potpourri for 300.
Okay. What do we have here? This causes poor concentration and inflammation, leading to increased blood pressure.
Salt.
Gout. Yeah, that's true.
Alcohol.
No idea.
Golf.
Golf.
Golf. Is that what you said? Judy wasn't wrong.
Ah,
To be honest,
Stress.
Stress can lead to inflammation, which can cause our blood pressure to increase. But alcohol is also a correct answer.
So if stress can lead to inflammation, could inflammation make, like, say, your ataxia worse? Like if you had a slight case of ataxia and things got inflamed?
Well, I'm going to say
No, yes.
no, but other things can make your symptoms come back. So
Yeah,
like
that's
if your
what
blood
happened.
pressure goes up really high, then yeah, I mean, in a roundabout way, it can. It's something called recrudescence or re-expression. I don't know if anybody has ever gotten, for instance, sorry, this is my pager, a urinary tract infection after a stroke, and their stroke symptoms came back. Then it can cause that. And then once you get rid of the UTI, your stroke symptoms go away. So if your blood pressure gets really high, then yes, your stroke symptoms could get worse. And then once we bring it down, they would go back to what your current baseline is. So it would be like a temporary.
Learn something.
All right, Judy, since you got that right, different answer, but it was still right. I'm going to let you go again.
Okay. Know your numbers for 400.
Okay. This is the number of brain cells lost during a stroke.
1 billion.
Per minute or?
Billions.
Yeah. Every minute.
Per minute. Okay.
Billions.
Something like 1 million a minute. But that's a guess. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
2 million per minute.
Wow.
Yep. It's a lot. That's why every minute matters, and we don't want to wait. If something isn't right, we call 911 and get to that hospital.
Time equals brain.
That's right. All right. Fred, why don't you pick?
These cool people who had stroke for $400 bucks, 400.
400? This creator and host of American Bandstand had a stroke in 2004.
The same
Dick
guy
Clark.
that did Dick Clark.
Yeah.
Dick Clark,
Like
yeah.
on New Year's Eve, yeah. Dick Clark.
That's right. That's right. He sure
Nice.
did.
Yes.
All right. Bunch of people got that. Did Kevin, do you want to pick one?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Yeah, I didn't get any of these, but I will pick.
Then you learn.
Let's see. What's going on for 100?
This is the #1 risk factor for stroke.
Blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
You
Clotting.
got one. There you go. High blood pressure.
Yep.
80%, they say that 80% of strokes are preventable. If everybody controlled their blood pressure, I would not have a job. So
Do you know the numbers? Melissa, what is the number for blood pressure? For high blood pressure?
currently the recommendation is to keep it below 140/90. That's considered high blood pressure. So yeah, we want to keep it below that. And it is harder for African Americans to get it. Blood pressure is like 140/90 for a Caucasian. It doesn't translate to like 140/90 for African Americans. Like it's actually worse for them. So.
And I'm here to tell you, I had a stroke at 140/90. I came to about 145, 150/95, but I wasn't any kind of 300/220 type stroke. You can have a stroke on when it's just barely in the red, because I did.
Oh, yeah. You can have a stroke when it goes too low as well. It causes a different type of stroke where your blood pressure when your brain doesn't get perfusion. So yeah, that's why we like to watch it. We give people parameters in the hospital, like don't let it go too low, because then your blood's not getting to your brain from that either. But everybody's a little bit different, right? What is too low? Mm-hmm. It's hard to say because everybody's different. You know, like my parents live at 90/60, and that's normal for them. But so say, but 90/60 for somebody who lives in like 180 something that's different. So
if you look
it's
it
slightly
up,
different for everybody.
If you look it up medically, they'll say 90/60.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Who wants to pick the next one?
Martha should. She hasn't gone yet.
All right. You want to pick Martha?
Yeah, Potpourri for 400.
Okay. Risk of stroke is higher in this part of the United States.
The stroke belt. South.
The South.
Southeast, the stroke belt. So all y'all in South Carolina, if you're born in the Southeast United States, you have a higher risk of stroke than somebody who was not.
Okay.
They don't know. They have studied it. They take you know, they match people when you do research studies. So you take somebody who eats the same food, and so say you have this specific diet and you live in Wisconsin and you have this specific diet, it's the same thing. So you take it, you throw it out. You take, your weight, throw it, so they take all the things and they match for it, all these different variables, thinking, okay, people in the Southeast, we eat a lot of fried food, or, we're not as healthy, we have more weight than other people. They don't they just don't have any idea. Like they're looking into environmental reasons at this point. So
they've been studying it for a while.
oopsie. Oh, why I did that. All right. There's a couple of people who haven't gone on here.
Cephas hasn't gone yet.
There you go, Cephas. You wanna go?
What's going on with 200?
Okay.
Oh, hey, Cephas, I didn't see you in there.
Yeah.
This contributing risk for stroke caused over 400,000 deaths in the USA in 2018. 480,000.
Has to be heart attack somehow.
Yeah, it's something to do with high blood pressure or
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
COVID didn't really hit us till
No,
2020.
20, yeah.
Heart disease.
Car accidents? I don't know.
Oh, why did you?
Smoking.
wow.
I should have known.
Wow.
Nope. No smoking.
Oh.
All righty. Let's see. Simone, do you want to go?
Have to sit aside and do this type of reaction.
Angelia, I'm sure Angelia would love to go.
I think she might have just left. I don't know. Oh, there you are.
You're on mute.
Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Would you
How
like
is
to pick
everybody?
one?
I'm doing.
Sure.
One of the yellows.
Okay. Know your numbers. Good, bad ideas. Let's do good, bad ideas.
Okay, 100 or 500?
Oh, 500.
She's going for the gusto.
Tommy says his stroke was caused by his mother-in-law, so he no longer speaks to her.
Well, that's a good idea.
No,
I think
Billy.
that's an opinion question, but yeah.
Not so bad idea. So
Like I
remember
said,
what I said about
opinion, but
stress.
yeah.
If there's people in your life who are, toxic, then think about figuring out ways to cut that
get away
toxicity
from
out. I mean, yeah, okay, if it's your in-laws, and believe me, I'm well aware of it. If they, you got to try to limit your interaction or set boundaries or whatever, because we want our stress levels to stay manageable, low. Know how to learn how to manage your stress, because stress, if you asked me 10 years ago, does stress cause strokes? We would have said, no, there's no evidence for it. But now there actually is some decent evidence that stress can contribute to strokes. It messes with our cortisol levels. It can mess with which affects our blood pressure. It can also cause us to not take care of ourselves in other ways. Like people smoke more when they're having stress. They drink more when they have stress. They don't take their medications. They don't exercise. So it's kind of a cycle. So my point is basically learn what your stress is and figure out how we can work around it. I mean, you can't get rid of stress, right? We all have it, but it's important to figure out how to manage it.
What is the difference between in-laws and outlaws?
Uh-oh, here we
Is that
go.
a joke?
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Outlaws are wanted.
That is great. That is great.
Oh, doctor.
They're
Oh, my
wanted.
goodness.
Yeah.
I warned y'all. I warned everybody.
Right.
But
For that one, you get to pick the next one. You get to pick the next one, Dr. Bruce.
Okay, then these cool people also had strokes out for 100.
This Cleopatra actress and one of her co-stars / real life spouse both had strokes.
Who was Elizabeth Taylor?
Taylor
And Charlton Heston?
Burton.
No,
John
she wasn't
Burton.
married to him. It was either Richard
okay.
Burton or no, it was
Burton.
well, I don't think Burton had a stroke. What was She married to
Eddie Fisher.
maybe Eddie Fisher. Oh,
Oh,
was
no, Richard Burton, yeah.
It was both
It's
of
kind
them.
of hard with her. I think she was married 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, I know, right? That was the
Yeah.
trick. All right, Ralph, get the next one for us.
Okay, what's going on? 500.
This harmful substance can be a contributing factor in stroke, often, but not always, seen in the younger stroke population.
Alcohol. Alcohol.
Yeah, we already had alcohol. Vaping, we already had cigarettes. Contributing factor.
Driving fast, like
Nothing.
Marijuana.
No.
What is
Close.
cocaine?
Cocaine. We see it a lot. Cocaine.
You
Can-
do? Well, I guess you're in the big city. See, I'm in like Nowheresville, Maine. So
Yeah.
you see cocaine for like $500 a gram around here.
There's
Might be
so
more
different
prevalent
drugs
than you
do
think.
cause strokes in different ways. Cocaine, it makes your blood clot. It makes your blood vessels spasm so they can clamp down. And if they clamp down too long, then you'll have a stroke that way. They can also shoot your blood pressure way, way, way high. And then you can have an ischemic stroke or a bleeding stroke by shooting your blood pressure way high. So cocaine is just stay away from it. Somebody mentioned marijuana. Marijuana is actually, they study a lot of it. It is a very hard drug to study because of so many different ways that you can create it and so many different ways that you can ingest it.
So many different ways you can create it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like the different, that's probably a bad word. There's different types of leaves. Grow it. Yeah. There's different types of leaves.
Like
and
there's indica and sativa. There's
Well,
two.
but they synthesize cannabinoids.
Oh,
and
well, if we're we're talking about synthesized stuff. All right.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, marijuana in general, there's just so many different types and ways. And so it's hard to study. There have been plenty of studies that say that it has no effect on stroke. And then there have been studies that say, well, we know that it causes atrial fibrillation, which we know causes stroke. So you would think that 1 + 1 = 2, that it does increase your stroke risk factor. So
But
I have had
then it
neurologists
would
that say it's fine. I've had neurologists that say absolutely not. So, all right,
sounds like personal choice.
Abraham, why don't you pick another one?
Good idea, bad idea for 100.
Mike had blood pressure meds prescribed after his stroke. He didn't like how they made him feel loopy, so he cut the dose in half.
Bad idea.
What is the bad
That's
idea?
that's probably a good but bad idea because he should probably talk to his doctor about it.
Probably doctors. Yeah, I think we already kind of went over this one, right? Don't mess with your blood pressure medicine. If you're
don't
people who live with the
self-regulate.
blood pressure through the roof, and all of a sudden we put them on medications and we're bringing them down, they're not going to feel good. That's normal because they've been living one way, So that eventually does go away, but you do want to check with the doctor just in case your blood pressure, maybe it is going too low, but don't cut them in half unless you talk to your provider.
Another thing is some blood pressure medicines cause side effects, like amlodipine caused my affected ankle to swell, and they want to put me on a diuretic, and I said, no, we're not going to prescribe another pill to solve the problem that one pill's causing. There are 300, 400 blood pressure medicines. Let's just pick another one. So if something makes you loopy or has side effects you don't like, go back to the well.
Oh, exactly. Yep. I think a blood pressure medicine, certain ones can also cause like sexual side effects for men in particular. So people they stop taking it.
Sartan causes a dry cough in some people.
Yeah, clonidine is one that has a sexual side effect.
Which?
Clonidine.
Which is used for a number of things.
bit of an expert on drug interactions with the brain, but I haven't gotten him to do a presentation on that yet. He also knows a fair amount about marijuana in the brain, I believe.
Yeah. It's a fascinating subject. It really is. Like, I wish we had some like concrete research, you know. But all right. We got a couple left.
Okay.
Who's gonna pick one?
Okay, Potpourri, $500.
Excellent choice.
This is the person or number you would call if you suddenly experience not being able to do something that you should be able to do.
What is 911?
Or your doctor, yeah. Or the hospital.
911. I don't want you to call your doctor. I want you to call 911.
Why does it say person then?
Sometimes,
The 911.
y'all, 911 hopefully is going to answer immediately and get you to the hospital. I can't say the same about calling your doctor. Some of you obviously have different relationships with your doctor. If I called my doctor, they might call me back 2 weeks later. I don't know. Call 911. Okay. All right, Judy, you got that one first. So pick the next one.
All righty. What's going on for 400?
This irregular heart rhythm is a common
AFib.
cause of stroke.
What is
I heard
AFib?
somebody say it.
AFib, yeah.
AFib.
Atrial fibrillation. So your heart isn't beating the way that it's supposed to, and blood can clot essentially, and then go up to your brain and cause a stroke. That is the non-complicated, non-medical version of that. So if you have atrial fibrillation, it's important that if you think you have an irregular heartbeat, talk to your provider about getting it checked out, because it could cause you problems.
It will show up on your blood pressure cuff, because I found it one day. I found that I had an irregular heartbeat. I looked back, I didn't have any. About 50% of my readings, that was a Saturday, were from then till Monday were irregular. So I went to the PCP on Monday morning and got in, and she said, "Oh yeah, it's irregular. Go see a cardiologist." Cardiologist said 4 months. So I checked myself into the ER the next day, because they always have a cardiologist at the hospital.
These little watch thingies now supposedly check for AFib too. So if anybody has one of these step tracker things, the Apple Watch, I've got a Fitbit
What
on.
is it?
It's a Fitbit. Certain types of the Fitbits, or an Apple Watch, if you have one, they will theoretically can monitor for AFib as well.
Oh,
all right. We've got
I have
two
an
left.
Apple Watch, and I have it, and it tells me I already have it, so it won't monitor.
I mean, if you know you have it, then
Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna do
It's
this one.
important, it's important to get
40
medication.
seconds.
Important to get medication to
40
treat atrial fibrillation, but
That's right.
you have to be somewhat careful and talk to your provider about what medication. When I got out of the hospital, I have occasional atrial fibrillation. And when I got out of the hospital after my stroke, I was put on like 8 different medications, and I checked them all when I got home. And one of them was amiodarone, which is often used to treat atrial fibrillation. And I checked the side effects, and one possible side effect of amiodarone is permanent blindness.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
immediately talked to my cardiologist and said, I don't want to take this. There's something else I can take. They said, oh yeah, just stop that and start taking atropine. So
Look at what you got.
a
Talk to your
atenolol. I
provider.
mean atenolol. But anyway,
Atenolol.
yeah, so I've been on atenolol ever since, and that worked just fine.
Just fine. Good.
And I didn't want to become blind just to treat this occasional atrial fibrillation. I'll be quiet.
40 seconds.
All right, people have a stroke every
40
in the United
seconds.
States. Who said 40 seconds? Ralph, you got it. All right.
Okay.
Very, very common.
You ever notice that on Jeopardy, they'll say potpourri for 200, Alex, when it's the only clue left.
Yeah, there you go. This percentage of the population has a patent foramen ovale.
30.
I don't even know what that is.
PFO.
I
The
don't
hole in
either.
your heart.
25%.
25. Okay.
So we all are born with, well, when we develop in utero, everybody's got holes and eventually the heart closes over it. But about 25% of the people in the population, those holes don't completely close. And you would never know it until you had something to go looking for it, like a stroke.
Why don't
So
why don't
some
they
of us in this room might have a PFO. Hopefully, if you had one, your doctor would have already looked for it and told you, and you would know. But I mean, I might have one, and I've got no clue. But
is it too expensive to screen for it or something? Seems like
they're not going to just do an echo on you unless you have a reason to. So yeah. It's one of those insurance things, right? Like,
yeah, you gotta
maybe you should find out if you have an aneurysm before it ruptures, but no, we're not going to do that for everybody, so that type of thing. Well, that was it. I really appreciate y'all coming and playing along with me, and hopefully y'all learned something and enjoyed it.
Oh,
So,
thank you, Maya Bialik. I really appreciated that.
you give me too much credit. She's much smarter than me.
Can I
That was
ask you a
fun. I think that was
question?
very, very useful. It was delightful.
Thank you. Abraham,
Can
you
I
had a
ask-
question?
Yeah, I have a question about this PFO thing, this hole in the heart. I mean,
Yeah.
if there's a hole there, like say you're an active person and one of your activities includes like skiing or something, and you fall down when you're skiing, and say you're rolling in every direction, upside down, ass over tea kettle, whatever you want to call it, isn't blood gonna come out of your heart, fall out that hole, or it
No.
doesn't work that way?
No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay, I don't
dangerous, I
understand
think.
why
I
not.
wouldn't worry about it unless the doctor told you you had one. They don't even do much for them unless you're young, to be honest. If you're under like the age of 55, they might close it.
Right.
But for most part, it's just like, oh, okay, you had it. That explains why you had the stroke. Then they treat it with the medicine.
A lot of people
They're
have
not
it
gonna
closed
surgery.
after a stroke because we see posts all the time about it. I have a PFO closure coming up. What should I expect? You know, I mean, we see
Yes.
that
So-
post all the time.
I don't
A
know. Surgery.
neurologist, cardiologist might recommend it. But neurologist, there's no evidence over a certain age that it does anything.
Huh.
So closing it.
So if you have a stroke and say you're over 50 or whatever, and you have a stroke due to a PFO, then you don't have much chance of having another one due to that PFO. Is that what the neurologists are saying?
Yeah, they would put you on the aspirin and the or Plavix or whatever, an antithrombotic. It would lower your risk, but no, it would be medical management. If you had multiple ones, like a lot, then they might say, yeah, okay, maybe it's worth it. But I don't know any neurologist that recommends surgically closing them unless you're young.
Huh. Well, now that I think about it, a lot of the people that make that post are in young stroke survivor support group, and they're 30 or, they're 20, 30, 40, not old farts like some of us.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I hope y'all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
doing it. We
Coming
really
on.
appreciate it.
Nice to meet y'all.
It was fun.